What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So before I jump into this video, I wanted to go ahead and clear something because all this while I've been wrong. I presumed that Arrowhead was a PlayStation-owned studio, and Helldivers 2 being a PlayStation-published game showing up on PC, we've always categorized it as a PlayStation game. However, there's some nuance here that we may have to start addressing right now. So apparently I've been thinking Arrowhead was basically a PlayStation studio in a sense. I didn't really parse that very well, saying how there was a little, I would say difference in terms of how they handled the PlayStation requirement and not. But apparently the CEO in an interview in March of this year basically shut down those rumors that there was an acquisition or one incoming or whatnot. Arrowhead is an independent studio. If you go on Wikipedia and if you look at their games library, they've developed games far and wide for different publishers at different times. It happens. From Software, when they made Sekiro, they actually had Activision, publish the game. So I guess we don't really know, or if we have to maybe go look and see who owns the rights for Helldivers 2, there's a likelihood that, Arrowhead owns majority of the game. So again, that's a whole different video for an investigation. However, this is basically something I'm bringing up because I saw a comment from someone who I think they may be new on the channel. They fact-checked something that I said in the video, which is that, Xbox led the way to start moving its games to console. Now, this is kind of more general sentiment around this. And, technically, if you actually look at the dates, the first published game from the console manufacturers that hit the PC on Steam, in it anyways, that I can find, is Helldivers Part 1, which was, I think at this point, it was a top-down shooter when they dropped it on the PC platform. However, Arrowhead was independent at the time, so possibly they were able to find a way to, get publishing help from PlayStation and were able to drop it. So can we categorize this game as a PlayStation game? I don't think so. I think Xbox will probably still be the ones that brought their game to PC first, seeing that they brought a first-party game at the time, which was Quantum Break, and it was an exclusive to Xbox, and it came to the PC. It's also in honesty, it's also somewhat technical too, because that was a game that was developed by Remedy, and at the time, Remedy itself, being a studio in itself, had its affiliations back and forth. And if you go look and, check what was going on, Remedy was never acquired by Microsoft. They were never under Microsoft like you could say Bungie was. So again, on a more technical sense, the Quantum Break game and the, Helldivers 1 game, they find themselves in a really interesting situation. Now, even if we say, okay, sure, well, if we say, what's the name? Quantum Break was the first Xbox game on, the PC platform, then we could also say then, somehow PlayStation published the first game from a console manufacturer on there. However, when we take a very closer look, it does not negate the fact that the trend was actually kicked off by Xbox and PlayStation followed much heavier. Now, we're going to need to look at the timeline to be able to see this as a reality, because the timeline basically will kind of give us what I think is, the whole reality of the matter. So Helldivers 1 was in 2015. And then also in 2016, there was an Everybody's Gone to Rapture game that came out. And throughout this time, there was a lot of silence. Horizon Zero Dawn and a lot of other games came out in between all of this time. There was Horizon Zero Dawn, there was Marvel Spider-Man, there was God of War, and none of those games would make their way to PC. In fact, most of you remember that there's a tweet from Insomniac that said that Spider-Man game was only relegated to the PlayStation platform. I think it says specifically it's only on PS4. Now, we see that somewhere around like 2020, when the Horizon game dropped, it wasn't too long that we then started seeing more and more, PlayStation games show up on PC. In fact, if you look very closely, you'll see that Horizon Zero Dawn dropped, then the Predator Hunting Grounds followed in 2021, and then Days Gone followed in 2021, and by 2022, we got to see God of War, Spider-Man, Uncharted, Sackboy, Spider-Man Miles Morales. In fact, it started to ramp up like crazy. In 2023, we saw the Returnal game, we saw The Last of Us Part 1, we saw the Ratchet and Clank game, and then in 2024, we're also getting about 3, and these are 3 major titles. So the argument about, whether or not PlayStation followed the trend for Xbox is kind of moot, because at this point, Xbox had already in 2017 just opened up Game Pass and had that Game Pass service on PC. And not only were, Xbox games available on PC, they were available via subscription. Because one thing that's not being taken into account is not only did Xbox just start bringing its games little by little, Xbox actually brought a storefront to PC around this time, which is actually very critical when we consider this whole conversation. And that is the Xbox's, little storefront that comes out here where you can basically go into a store and you can buy games here. So this platform existed on PC. So pretty much how you can measure and weigh this is by basically going in to say, okay, who really did put their foot on the gas pedal when it came down to this and who had to follow suit, because Helldivers 1 was not a major title like Spider-Man or Miles Morales or God of War. And so PlayStation saying, or somebody saying that PlayStation chooses the games that go on there, like this statement says, is not because PlayStation wants to. This is as a result of the market actually bending PlayStation's will to do so. The CEOs of PlayStation even mentioned in their, and I said there is a shared dual CEO thing going on with Herman Hulst and the other gentleman from Japan, where they said that their aim is to try to see if they can get PC players to consider the PlayStation platform. This is why they're bringing things to PC. So the market is encouraging them to do so. Now, there's something quite peculiar when you look at the Xbox's timeline. In fact, it even shows that Xbox had games way older than even the 2015 timeline. Even though they were not day and date, Xbox still seemed like it was interested in exploring the PC space as far back with, and I'll use Halo because Halo is pretty much, an Xbox brand, as far back as like 2014. Let's look at this Halo Spartan Assault. This was actually developed by, Vanguard Games and 343, which 343 is an Xbox studio. And so the Halo, being just pretty much a Microsoft brand, was already on there as early as 2014. Now, we can also look at the timeline between when that game was ported from, the Xbox console to PC, or when the PC version came out, to be able to say, okay, when was this game actually put on the PC platform? And I don't know what we're going to find. Spartan Assault. Let's see when it came out. That game came out in 2013. So July 18, 2013. And as early as 2014, Xbox had already moved Spartan Assault straight to Steam. So again, I guess if you really want to take a look at who pretty much had been bringing games, Xbox is still pretty much ahead in that regard. I wonder why Quantum Break was basically cited in the conversations whenever people started talking about them. I think it's probably because it was a day and date release that people actually started citing that. But from, July of 2013 to what was the timeline in that other case? All the way to, what is this, April of 2014, that's basically 8 months. Everybody should have seen the writing on the wall at that time. And so even with God of War Ragnarok and all that, showing up 2 years later, that was already the writing of the wall to kind of introduce things like Lego Horizon going in day one on the PC platform, possibly. We don't know. PlayStation might change their minds. Maybe delay it for a little bit because the Nintendo launch is basically what they need to focus on more than anything else. So yes, we can definitively say that PlayStation followed suit. I think if you want to be more technical, you can probably say maybe day and date. PlayStation did a day and date first on PC, but again, if you think about the timeline that I just showed, where around, say, what time was that, 2015 through 2020, where PlayStation was a little bit quiet. They had only released, say, in 5 years, they only done like 2 small games. But look at what Xbox was doing around that 2014, 2015, 2016. They were dropping a number of games on the PC platform like crazy. They brought Recore and, everything, because Game Pass was also, starting to get a library expanded on PC. So by the time you got to 2020, easily Xbox had already pretty much outclassed in terms of just dropping games on PC. They already basically expanded way faster because they just came full head on with speed. And now PlayStation is basically, now adding its games to the PC platform. But what Xbox is now doing straight up is just going to launch its 24 and 25 lineup on here. And it seems like there are benefits for them. I mean, already the Starfield game kind of, in my opinion, already, anyways, it kind of basically confirmed, what it is that they wanted to see in coming here by putting Starfield as one of the highest selling games on Steam in the year that it came out. And not only that, the one thing that a lot of people have been looking forward to from, like a Bethesda game is their creation kit, basically a mod, a mod engine that you can pretty much use to, add mods and do all kinds of fun stuff. This is where, Bethesda games basically thrive more than anything else. Just recently, Bethesda also brought id Software also brought their id engine as well too. You can use it here on Steam. So basically, they're just pretty much having a blast, free of charge almost, without PlayStation, responding until much recently than they. So again, I think that is a point that we needed to look at very quickly in this particular video, just to pretty much get things and set things straight. So I think we can say that we're safe in assuming and presuming that. And shout out to Sincere06 for actually putting this out there. Thanks so much. Peace out.